Well, good day, folks. I'm Dizzo over on the forums, and today I'm going to give you a little comparison video of the yo-yo recreation Draupnir, yo-yo recreation. I called it recreation for years, and the yoyofriends hummingbird. I like to do comparisons rather than call them reviews because reviewing something is subjective. You know what you like. So, the Draupnir's been around for years. Everybody loved it. It's been the rage. And the Hummingbird came out, and people were calling it the Draupnir killer. So, I had to get my hands on one of these things and try them out. And, on paper, they're very similar, and they look very similar. But when you actually play them, they're really two different beasts. Let's start out by comparing the specs. The diameter of the Draupnir is 57.04 millimeters, while the Hummingbird is 55.91. So they are a little bit smaller. The Draupnir is a little bit bigger. If you take a look, let's go to my camera. If you take a look at them right next to each other, you can tell that the Draupnir is just a hair bigger in diameter. This is me holding them with the bottoms flush. So if you try to line them up, it's so similar that you can barely tell. The width of the Draupnir is 43.42, and the width of the Hummingbird is 42.95. So again, the Draupnir is a little bit taller. When I put them next to each other like this, if I put my finger on it, sight-wise you can't tell. If you're just looking at them, they look identical. If I put my finger on it, then I can tell that the Draupnir feels just a little bit taller. So it's so close. And then there's the weight. The Draupnir weighs 63.5 grams, and the Hummingbird weighs 62.01 or 62.1. So the Draupnir is a little bit heavier, which I find interesting because I find that the Draupnir plays a little bit lighter than the Hummingbird does. The Hummingbird seems to have, for me, it feels like it has more rim weight and it has a little bit more powerful of a spin. While the Draupnir, if you take a look at them, you can see, get this on the video, when you take a look at them, it looks like the Draupnir has a little bit less steel in the rims than the Hummingbird does. Hummingbird looks like it's got a little bit more to me. Another thing that you do is if you can get a look at the inside. Yeah. If you take a look at the inside, you'll see that the steel kind of ends right at the lip here. And the aluminum's on the inside, where if you take a look at the Hummingbird, it looks like the steel kind of folds in. And it looks like there's a little bit more. And I think that's why I feel like I get a little bit more powerful of a spin with the Hummingbird. Now, the big question is it needed? Because the Draupnir has incredibly powerful spin, and I feel that I can get this to move faster than I can get this one to move. Let's take them apart and take a look at the guts. Let's take them both apart so we can look at them next to each other. Okay, so take the axle out. So let's take a look at these right next to each other. And you'll notice that when you look at it this way, you'll see that right here there's a little bit of a lip, like it comes up just a tad. Well, when you take a look at the Draupnir, it's like almost the opposite. It's like it comes up and then it's like beveled for the wall. And if you take a look at them dead on, in between where it reaches the top and the edge of the pad, it seems a little bit smaller than it does on the Draupnir. Also notice that this one has more of a hub to it. There's like a little dot in here and a ridge, while this sucker is pretty well flat. So I guess this is a pretty short and sweet video. There's not really much more to say. Here, I've never taken the axle out of both of them, so let's do that real quick. So this one's the, this one's the hummingbird, and this one is the, well, honestly, they're so close that I can, it's maybe a millimeter longer for the one on the hummingbird, so it's not really even worth comparing. But that's about all that there is. Two very different yo-yos. It's totally legitimate to own them both because they are very different in all of their similarities. And at the end of the day, they are both beasts of players. You know, when I first looked at this thing, I was like, man, how did they not get accused of making some sort of a bootleg when I saw the hummingbird? But once I played it and once I took it apart and really did the finer details, they did just take kind of the Draupnir idea and really tweaked it and made it their own. So yeah, big fan of both of them. That's it. Take care.